Turbo versus Uri. Only half a point separates our championship contenders. And while Miami hosts round 8 of Season 2, Tier 3, it's going to take a Miami miracle for anyone outside of the top 2 to even have a chance. Our next closest rival, that is still in the tier and not banned from the tier, is Invade, 50 points back, and he could be eliminated from championship contention tonight. That is how things roll for round number 8 of the season. Miami is our second trip to the U.S. in Tier 3, but it's our first at the Hard Rock Stadium. Welcome along, folks. I'm your commentator, Ryan Searles. It is great to have you all here for another race of RPL Tier 3. It is the 18th different race in this tier, and if we include our preseason events, we'd have 20 different events in this tier, so we are extremely glad to have you all here. Welcome along, chat. JTK F1 fan, good to see you. F1 Shorts, very good to see you. Wrecked by Storm is very excited about Miami. He says, woo, Miami. I'm saying it's the Hard Rock Stadium, and it's time to see some hard racing. This should be fun. This should be tons of fun. I mean, this is a very big circuit in RPL with the way things have been. F2, we had a start once that was extremely chaotic. That exact corner you see on our screen, 1, 2, 3, 4. We had a multi-car accident there before. We had an F2 race here recently where it was wet on the start and it was not wet enough for wet tires. We've not had a Tier 2 race here in a while. We had F1 here recently. An extremely chaotic race that was. DRS train galore. I mean, it's just going to be tons of fun. So to recap you all, Monza was last week for round number 7 of the season. Excuse me, now it's round 8. And I don't blame you, Wrecked by Storm. I'm glad you're happy. Round 7 of the season was last week in Monza. And yeah, we had quite a crazy race, I want to say. It was a DRS train, quite a calm race at the front for a bit. VSCs coming out here and there. And Invade was the cause of that first and only VSC to start the race. He had a DNF. Him and Goatley came to collision. There were a lot of drivers who had trouble at turn 1, turn 2, and 4 and 5. It's interesting because that section, those 2 chicanes were calamity corner for the drivers, and I'm interested to see what ends up happening tonight. Ardell was one of the drivers involved on a lap 1 accident. I was with, I believe, Woodda. He came from P20 to P3. Uri won the race on track after the safety car was deployed about halfway through, but he got into a lap 1 incident with an Aston Martin of Serco, and that cost him any chance to victory because, well, I mean, I'm just going to put it bluntly, he shoved the driver off track, and you can't be doing that. Especially starting far back. I mean, you got to have a lot more patience in your ride to not have that, so that's what resulted in his penalty, losing the win. He finished second, though. It was still a 1-2 by our championship contenders. As I said, Ardell, Uri's teammate, came back to finish third, so that was nice to see. Turbo's second win, McLaren's second win. And, yeah, I mean, the 2 championship contenders, they're making their country proud. They're from the same place, pretty much. So, yeah. As we said with the standings, Uri and Turbo, half a point separate them. Red Bull lead the championship over McLaren by 12.5 points. Mercedes are 43 points back. And like we were talking about earlier with a Miami Miracle, Ferrari will need that. They are 60 points behind in the championship. They are really going to need a Miami Miracle if they want to have a chance to stay alive. In previous Miami history, the only thing I'm going to mention from the races here recently is the drivers who did F2 will definitely get a benefit. And whoa, the RTRI has lagged out and it's retired him, and the same has happened to RSF1 Invade. Are we getting a restart Tier 3? Let's check the chat. What's happened here? We are restarting the lobby. All right, that is what's happening. So that actually gives us a lot of time to talk about some of our headlines, which is good to know. Stay with us, folks. But anyway, previous Miami history, I was going to talk about the F2 and F1 race that we had recently here at F2. I feel like we've had a few Tier 3 drivers in that race. I'm going to check lineups quickly just to make sure. Alright, so the drivers who competed in the F2 race here that are racing tonight in Tier 3, Valkyrie, Goatley, and I believe that's it. Maybe Ardell? I don't know. But either way, we've had a few drivers who competed in the F2 race here, so they know what things will be like. And F1, we had a race here recently there as well. In qualifying, Cam hit the inside wall in that tight chicane in Sector 2. The one that you cannot pass anybody in. So, if anybody hits that wall, it's going to be probably a straight DNF. We've seen drivers hit it before in the past in all RPL tiers at Miami. And you're either going to hit it with the rear of your car, you're going to hit it with the front of your car, or you're going to skim it kind of like Kimi Räikkönen did with the Monaco wall and the chicane. A Nouvelle. There's a Nouvelle chicane. Which chicane is that? Is that the swimming pool chicane? I think it's a swimming pool chicane. Where he skimmed it and stayed in the race. No damage to his car. No suspension at all. So, yeah, we may see that happen tonight. So that's your history there. We've not ran a Tier 3 race here, but we have ran a Tier 3 race in the USA. Texas was the last one we ran last season. Still yet to run Vegas. And the other thing as well is that, well, we do have some headlines and we do have some drivers with penalties to serve tonight. So, I'm just going to get an invite to the new lobby and then we'll go over that. I'm going to read chat quickly. I see there's been some messages. GTKF1 fan said, how is the job? Second day, a little bit of training, but it's going well. I will be here for Tier 2 tomorrow, folks, but as you know, I'm attending a wedding and will not be here for RPL F1. I may be able to sneak in for F2 with Titan, so I will keep you guys up to date on that. It's going to rain in the race, as the forecast F1 short says. Well, make sure Invade does know that, as he is setting up the lobby now. Unless Jack says it's new settings. Make sure we get confirmation there. Wrecked by Storm says, Monza was fun. The late safety car kind of screwed my potential for points because my stupid self got a penalty. Well, that's an interesting thing that you mentioned. This circuit is notorious for track limit penalties in certain areas, especially that chicane area. I would even say part of Sector 1 you can get track limit penalties if you're not careful, especially that long left-hander. Even racing side by side into the area before the Mickey Mouse chicane is a bit tough. For the Mickey Mouse chicane, you have that left there, which some drivers got penalties in the F1 race. I mean, that race was very tough actually on the track limit penalties. So, fair point to mention with the penalties for last week. Could happen this week, especially with the drivers in Tier 3 who do not have as much experience around this track on this game compared to the guys who did F2 or F1. Got some people rooting on Williams. I'm married, not worth it. Well, good to know. Got Energize giving everybody some good luck. He is Garrison. Yeah, he's one of the let's get to our headlines since Garrison's pulled up in the chat. We have some drivers making their debut. Garrison is one of them. He is racing for Alpine tonight. He's got a full-time contract for Alpine for the remainder of the season. And we got one more debut I want to say. Yes, Tim Bed. Tim Bed is in the Aston Martin Mercedes Academy's reserve for the rest of the season. Mercedes full-time for next season. So that's great to see. Invade, I know you're in chat. I know you definitely are. Is Z one of the drivers making their debut? You would know better than I do, because you know what? When I took some time off in August, I've been out of the loop ever since then, so I know bits and pieces. I mean, everyone commends me for my Is commend the right word? I don't know. Everyone gives me a lot of credit for the stats I do around here, but besides stats, I'll tell you right now, there's not much I'm in the loop with anymore. Well, let's continue getting through your headlines. We have some big news in terms of the driver market. In fact, Optical left the league last week, and that means there is a spot open there, Aston Martin, and I believe that's probably why Leon Minor is racing there tonight in comparison to the Williams. Leon Minor did score points last week, so good to see on his end. We have another driver who is no longer on the grid besides Optical. Optical left, so he is one of 2 drivers in that situation there, and the other one is SV. The reason for SV not being on the grid anymore is because he got banned from racing due to accumulating many penalties or many dirty driving warnings and not changing his ways. So he is not on the grid. He's still allowed in the RPL server as he wishes, and you know what? He was going to be alongside me for a few races in other tiers, but that's no longer the case. He had his commentary role taken away not too long ago, but I'm going to tell you, SV, I may have some favors you could help me on for sure, since you're still in the server, if you would like. And I say favors because with my work schedule now, as JTKF1 fan pointed out, I will definitely need some stat help, and if SV can help me on that just briefly, or maybe giving me some headlines before each race, like we got right now, then I would not mind you doing that. But the admin team, probably I think the owner more so specified it. George and Jack did. Definitely George did specify in probably about 60 days time. Now probably make it 58. They will be reviewing the whole ban SV has from racing, so it's not something that may stay forever. We've had drivers, Leon, Egg, others who've got banned from tiers or banned from racing in general, who have come back to RPL. So and on the grid. So we may see it happen. Don't know. Zia's making his debut. Polish says so that there's 3 drivers tonight making their debut. That's great to see. Thank you. Yeah, SV's definitely got to fix his ways with driving clean. I don't know. I mean, he's proven he can drive clean when he wants to, but he's got to fix that. J&T is no longer J&T Jackson Traeger, as you will see the name as. Some people don't know that it's J&T is Jackson Traeger, but we clarify most times that that's who that is. He is no longer a Red Bull assistant for the academy. D. Sommers left the league not too long ago. I don't know if I mentioned this last week, but he was Alpine full-time. So that's why Garrison's there full-time for the remainder of the season. They did fill that spot. Uri lost the Monza win on penalties. That's big to mention, just because the fact that that does change the championship race. If he won Monza, he would be leading it by more than half a point. But that's where we stand right now. Garrison debut, Timbed debut. We mentioned that. Z's debut. I'm just looking at everything on my list. We mentioned it's a first tier 3 race at the circuit. We've raced in the U.S. before, Texas. Timbed full-time next season for Mercedes. Cal, who's raced in RPL before, will have a qualifying ban in his next tier 2 race when he comes back. One that's been on there for 5 seasons, I believe. He is full-time tier 3 next season for Alpine. Garrison full-time this season for Alpine. And one contract that is not tier 3 related, but is a driver from tier 3, is Turbo. He is full-time alongside academy-wise, not teammate-wise in the same car, but still teammate academy-wise next season with Uri. V-Carb full-time for Turbo. So Turbo and Uri will graduate to tier 2 next season. So that's great to see. Congrats to them. I want to give them some great credit there. And we're going to get some laps going. We'll cover that in a moment. F1 Shorts says he's part American, so home race right there, technically. In some race, at least heritage-wise. It's Z. Home race for him. Goatley, home race for him. Polish Hammer, home race for him. And I believe that's it. We have a few home races for the drivers here on our grid, which is just wonderful to see. And there's one other thing I feel like I forgot to mention. I don't know. I think there's one thing I forgot to mention. Mention the home races. Oh! I know what it is. Tier 3 open spots. Oh, and Valkyrie has a qualifying ban. That was the one other thing. Valkyrie has a qualifying ban. So, Gagi gave me some Tier 3 full-time spots. It's full. If it's full wet, I'm jumping in front of one of you. Your car's in the pit wall, Valkyrie says. Where's the wet? And it's dry. All right, so they restarted the weather, and it's dry again. Or dry this time instead of wet again. Yeah, let me pull up Blue Gagi quickly and look at the full-time seats open for next season. I don't know how correct this is, so just bear with me here. Next season, open spots. Because of SUV's ban, there's an open Ferrari spot. We got 2 Red Bulls, 1 Ferrari, 1 McLaren, 1 Alpine, and 2 V-Carbs. I think Turbo would have had the second McLaren, but now that he's moved to Tier 2, that's changed. Drivers on loan or reserving tonight, we usually don't see. We got Mally 41 in the Williams. He was here in Monza last week. Scored some points there. Did get penalized after. I think did he score points last week after the penalty? I think he just missed out on it. Yes, he just missed out compared to Leon. So Mally 41 was running in the points last week, but finished outside them after the penalty. AMS Devon is back. He raced here in Spa. He's a reserve. Tim Bed's a reserve. Zora's a reserve in the Alpine Academy. Well, for tonight, Alpine Academy. Leon moved up to Aston, usually races in Williams. Garrison is in the Alpine. Itzy in the Sauber. And I think that's it from our full-time drivers there. Valkyrie, by the way, as we did mention, does have the qualifying ban. So, she'll be the only driver in this qualifying session that I can recall not being able to compete. We've got Mally 41, our first driver, who will cross the line to set the benchmark. And look at his ERS management. 27% here on his battery. And also, the final few corners are going to be very interesting because I've done a few 5-lapper lobbies back when this track was first released, I believe, on 22. And I'll tell you right now, if we get a close race at the front of the field, knowing how the DRS trains are here in RPL, and this game as a whole. Oh, Zora's crashed. That is in the chicane area, and our first victim of that wall has been claimed. So Zora is out of the session. Wow. 8 drivers have set laps. Polish Hammer was the fastest moments ago. Now give it to Alex Norris. Do we have a McLaren crossing? Yes, we do. It's El Mythic. He's used all his deployment, but he'll go up to 5th. And do we have anyone else crossing? Invade and Validated. Goatley's on a lap. Ardell's on a lap. Let's go on board with Ardell, who went from 20th to 3rd last week. A nice effort there after he had a lap 1 crash. It's this section I was talking about. If we get... Oh, boy. Are we migrating host again? Invade is left again? What's happened? Oh, boy. Nonetheless, Ardell is fastest. That's by a long margin. And Yarai slams it out of the park as well. Red Bull are 9/10 clear of the whole field here. If you include their whole academy, they're a second out of the next best car. AMS Devon's up to 4th place. Nice going there. Interesting. Polish. Interesting. Anyway, Turbo is on a lap. Our 2nd place man in the championship. We're going to watch him. I hope the lobby does not glitch now since Invade, the host, well, what was the host, joined back after leaving. I don't know what happened to him. These are one of the DRS straights. We're going to go down them right now, and we're going to cover Turbo instead of talking about the final few corners. Fellas, I'm all out of shape. I'll tell you that right now. I am all out of shape. I am all out of order. So, don't mind me. Turbo. Now going through the Mickey Mouse chicane, as everyone likes to call it, completing Sector 2, picking up a nice little slipstream from the Red Bull, in fact. And was that the championship leader? Yes, it was. So very tactical there from Turbo. Now going down the DRS straight, going below 40% in the battery. Let's see what he does in this braking zone. How late do you brake? Do you brake early, brake late? What line do you take? Do you take a line to get a nice little exit, or do you take a line to get a nice little entry? We'll find out if it was good enough with what he did. Turbo goes third fastest, so finally there's somebody in between Turbo and Uri, the championship leaders. I say championship leaders, though, because they're only separated by half a point. I mean, it's really the skin of their teeth between them. It's basically the difference in football terms, American football terms, here at the Hard Rock Stadium, which does host the Miami Dolphins. It's really, in that aspect, the difference between being a yard away from the first down, really. But instead of being a yard away, because the half points race in Qatar, you're basically half a yard away. So that's really the difference there between their championship lead. But yeah, Turbo, Uri, the two championship leaders have held pole position throughout all 7 races this season. We've not had anyone sneak their way on the pole, and we've got yellow flags in this section while Drift King is on a lap. And this is a driver who started out this season with a podium in Singapore, but has had extremely poor qualifying efforts. Not exactly what we usually see from the man who challenged George in a few races last season and does have some podiums to his name. Valkyrie finally does serve the qualifying ban, but was that a retirement on track? That's what I'm concerned about right now. It was. So that might see the stewards room, and that's what I'm worried about. Look at this, the Haas right next to Mally 41 as he's starting a lap. That is not good. So that may earn her a bit more of a penalty than she already has, and that's not good at all. So, Mally 41 is back on a lap, and I'm not sure if this driver has ever raced here at the Hard Rock Stadium, but he has raced in the US before. And I believe if we look back to Season 2 RPL in F1, I want to say it's around the US point where, for him, his form really did not show much after he won the championship. It was Russia, and I believe we go into US back then on 2019. And that's really where I want to say the performance level dipped for Mally. We didn't race in the US that season. That's why I was thinking that. But yeah, like the last 2 races where things dipped for him. In his championship winning season in RPL F1, Tier 1 champion Mally 41, a F2 champion. So he's backed off in his lap. We'll cover someone else. RS1 Invade going through the long left-hander to complete Sector 1. An easy place to invalidate your lap. Now putting on the battery. Look at this. He's already going to be below 40% in the battery here as we get to the DRS straight. This DRS straight is one to watch out for because it's kind of reminiscent of Saudi Arabia with the way you move on the straight. Gonna have to be careful with that when playing the DRS games here with drivers. Now, you get to the ending bit of Sector 2. The double left here. The tricky chicane. Polish Hammer. Really good lap there. Up to 4th. So, a home race for him is looking quite nice. Maybe a home podium could happen. 101-1 by Invade in the sector split coming out of the chicane. That chicane is very tough to either go side by side or follow the driver in front or behind. And I'll tell you right now, we have had some collisions there besides some self spins. So do not be surprised to see that tonight. Invade has one more braking zone to go, completes that, turns on the battery, has pretty much no ERS to spare, but it does not say deployment news. And RS1 Invade is up to 3rd place on our leaderboard. A nice little surprise there compared to what we've seen recently out of the Ferrari driver. Goatley is on track, and we're looking at the RB driver who's been impressive the last few weeks. A first podium happened in Tier 2 last week, and he could have won a Tier 2 race before he won a Tier 3 race. It was this circuit, in fact, as well, where he ended up finishing P4 in the F2 race, which could have seen him on a podium in 3 different tiers of RPL. That would have been impressive from the American driver, but he'll complete Sector 1 now. So, Goatley has the DRS applied and is on hot lap with the Alpine in front of him. Is that Garrison getting out of the way? Yes, it is Garrison getting out of the way. Very nice there. So, welcome to RPL, Garrison, where traffic might be a bit of an issue. Nonetheless, Goatley How does he make way with the chicane? Look at that, a little snap, but actually, it made him turn into the corner a bit better nonetheless. So that was pretty impressive from Goatley. He won't pick up his slipstream from the Ferrari in front, but that is Invade, who we collided with last week. So he's probably saying, hey, Invade, I don't want to have that happen again, while he breezes by him. Obviously, Invade getting out of the way. Got one more braking zone to go for Goatley, which can be tricky on the drivers. You got to use a bit of curbing, but you're going to want to use this side rather than the left side. You can easily slip on those curbs, and Goatley goes 6th fastest. Ardell, he was on a lap earlier. He invalidated. He is done on this one. He will have to go again. Turbo currently is in the 1st sector on a lap, and look at this. The tricky S section here in Sector 1. Look at that, on the curb right there, just sliding out. And will he have any improvement on the lap, the McLaren? He goes out wide and has an invalidation. Even regardless of invalidating, he still would have been down on the time. So that is just troubling for the McLaren driver. Alex Norris, I think he just improved. He went to 7th. Neski improved as well. He's up in 8th. Not too bad right there. We got El Mythic we're going to watch now because he is on a lap for McLaren. One of the top cars down here outside the top 10. The only one of the top cars that are on a lap, and look at that, a little tricky there on the inside curbing from Mythic. It's a very tricky spot. I feel like the curbing around the circuit is very slippery, and we're gonna see a lot of drivers get slippy on those. I'll put it in job terms since I think JTKF1 fan in the chat will be happy. Those curbs, whether it be the Mickey Mouse chicane, the left side curbs when you come out of the final braking zone, or whether it be the curbs from Sector 1, those curbs are like being at a restaurant and in a working area and not wearing slip-resistant shoes. That's exactly what those curbs are like. It's very tricky. I mean, you have places we've seen before where the curbs can be tricky on drivers, and it's no surprise it's like that here, but circuits before Miami became a F1 circuit. You got Mexico, got Texas, even Brazil. There are Hungary. There are a lot of circuits where those curbs are very slippery. Mythic makes a 3/10 improvement work, and he's only up to 12th though from that. So Mythic finished inside the top 5 last week in Monza. We'll see if he can do that from what looks to maybe be another poor qualifying if he cannot get back out there with 4 minutes remaining. Garrison's on a lap. We're going to watch the Alpine driver on his debut. All the drivers on their debut kind of sit behind the main contenders, but they're not really in cars that can make a surprise up there happen. Let's see how Garrison takes the chicane. Look at that, he hit the wall, and because he hit the wall on the inside but avoided having his wheel come off, it actually caused him to invalidate from it. He invalidated right after that because he turned right for the chicane and couldn't make anything from it. Kind of going a little too much on it. F1 Shorts. I believe we're watching him on a lap right now. And I'll tell you, that wall Garrison hit is not the first time an Alpine hit a wall right there. Zora did it, and he DNF from it. I think Zora is definitely not helping his case here, and I'll tell you why. Every week, besides this week, I'll give him credit that he didn't ask me this week. Every week since he's returned to RPL, he's asked me as a streamer to give him some stream time. But the problem is I gave him some stream time under the safety car last week in Monza when he was trying to turn on the stream while not going in AI. So his stream time has not really been in good places. I'm just going to say that lightly. But much respect on Zora's end, though, too. I would say, in all fairness, besides the incident and with Valkyrie in Zandvoort they had, I've not seen him in many incidents since returning. So, you know, I know Zora is one to be in incidents, and it's what got him quite a few penalties when he was here in RPL before, back on 22 and maybe 21. I don't remember about 21, but the good thing for him is that a lot of his incidents now have come from self-related incidents rather than collisions with other drivers. So I do have to give you credit, Zora. I do see improvement. Valkyrie, who's behind Zora, does have the qualifying ban, so both those drivers will start 18th and 19th. But, chat, we've got our final lap starting here for pole position. How about you guys give us some predictions? There's 15 of you watching. I would be happy to go over some of our predictions at the end of qualifying. Mythic has retired from the session. He's only going to be a best of 12. But right now, watching RS1 Invade come through Sector 1 for the first time, will there be any improvement on the Ferrari driver? Look at him. He's just absolutely throwing the car in there into Sector 1 to try and find some sort of improvement. Is there any improvement going in Sector 1? No. Turbo crosses, Polish crosses, Goatley crosses. They're all starting their final flying laps. And it looks like everybody, besides Mythic, Zora, and Valkyrie, are out on track. Polish Hammer is coming through the sector split, and is he improving? Yes, he is. So if any Ferrari is going to take pole tonight, it might as well be Polish Hammer, the home driver. He's not in Miami, but he is in the US, so that is what matters for having a home race here. Look at Invade, just flopping over those curbs, though. Will it work for the Ferrari driver as he comes to the sector split? No, he's down by a hefty margin. Turbo came to the sector split. Ardell has come to the pit lane and retired here. He is done. Uri, is he going to improve for pole position? Yes, he is. He's bettering himself by just a few thousandths. We've got Invade crossing the line first of the drivers, completing their laps. Alex, Norris, and Garrison are trying to get to the line to start their final flying laps. I don't know if Alex Norris will make it, but Invade crosses and does not improve. Next up is Polish Hammer, who lost time in the middle sector. Will he improve his lap to go faster than any other driver? He could go to the second row. Will it happen for Polish? No, it will not. Alex Norris is gonna make the flag just barely. He will start a final flying lap. Goatley, in his home race in Miami, qualified quite well in F2, finished quite well in F2, and he's up there again. It's a Red Bull, 1, 2, 3, and Goatley is third. He's ahead of championship contender Turbo. Turbo only is fourth. Uri is crossing now. Will it be enough for Uri to maintain pole position? No improvement, but he does maintain pole position. RS1 Invade went back out there for yet another lap. We'll see if the Ferrari driver can do it. Neski is 8th. AMS Devon is 10th. F1 Shorts found no improvement there in the Haas. We've got more crossing. Mally 41 stays 16th fastest. Got to kick Sauber in his debut. It's Z. Can it's Z go to a top 10 place? No, but he did find improvement on the time. Not too bad. Drift King invalidated. That is very unfortunate. Mercedes only going to be 8th and 11th. We got Aston improving. How about Tim Bed in his debut? Going to 4th. You won't have to watch the next race from his bed. He'll definitely earn himself a spot on next week's grid. Invade goes 6th fastest. Alex Norris. I don't think there's any improvement from him right there. Leon Minor crossed, and he did not improve. So, the championship contenders make themselves quite comfy at the front of the field. Uri and Turbo, 1st and 5th, and it's another race on the Tier 3 season that has these two drivers on pole position. It's Uri this time, and for him, he might have a party in the USA if he keeps this up. He's on pole for the 6th time in Tier 3, and he didn't even need the final lap because he did it earlier on in the session by getting pole position. So, let's go through your grid. Ardell qualifies in his best spot in RPL. How about that? If there's a driver who needs some momentum toward the end of the season before going to Tier 2, it's him. He's one of these 3 drivers moving up a tier as well. Turbo will too. Uri will too. Uri, Ardell, Red Bull 1-2. We got Red Bull 1-2-3 if you include their whole academy. Goatley is up there as well. It's a really good qualifying effort. Tim Bet on his debut is 4th. Then you got Turbo, Invade, Polish, Alex Norris, Neski, and Devon round out the top 10. Some very nice qualifying efforts from Devon and the Aston Martin driver on his debut. Outside the top 10, we've got Drift King, Mythic, some big name drivers, some big cars outside of that top 10 who you just usually maybe wouldn't expect to be back out there. So, now time for the race. Who is going to score a touchdown at the Hard Rock Stadium? I'll tell you right now. We have had some famous moments in Miami Dolphins history. And one of them is called the Miami Miracle. And, you know, with the way our championship contenders, Uri and Turbo, have been on it. I know Turbo wasn't really great in that qualifying session at the end, only being 5th. But with the way they've been on it, Uri and Turbo making up all the victories besides the race Lennon won it will take a Miami Miracle for someone other than them to win it. It looks like it's going to be a one-stop, medium hard. But some of the drivers may choose to pit early under a safety car for hard tires due to the fact we have a rain patch at the end. We didn't see that rain patch come in F1 or even Tier 2 in recent races, but it still could today. Give us your final predictions for lights out. Here we go, the first time RPL in Tier 3 races around Miami. The 5 red lights are coming on for the action. It is time to bring the action here in Miami. Uri leading him down to turn 1, gets a great start. Goatley had a horrible launch there because you could already see he got ghosted inside Ardell. He couldn't even challenge him. Now, Invade is racing Turbo, giving the man second in the championship. A lot of pressure here for the place. They're going to be side by side into the S's, and Invade has to concede the place he does. We're single file all the way to the back of the field. Does anybody go for a lunge here? Yes, we see 2 drivers do so, maybe 3 in the background, and Invade gets Turbo on the exit. They bang wheels further back. Neski got Polish. Alex Norris went for a shot down the inside. We've got lots of racing here as we get to Sector 2. Polish Hammer's on the move. Invade is not going to give it up with Turbo, even though he's a championship contender. He's just saying, I want to win here before I take a break here from racing. We've got the Sauber racing it out further behind. We got the McLaren racing heavy with Alex Norris. We go through the chicane for the first time. We're going to go side by side here. Look at this. Collision. Almost into the wall from both. I think they kept it off the wall, but Alex Norris had a big wiggle, a big moment. He's going to lose more places from that. And for the lead, I think Ardell was getting close, but he's not going for it. He wants to challenge teammate Uri. He mentioned prior to me that he really wants to put on the fight with teammate Uri regardless of the championship status. But it is teammate Uri who leads lap 1. And further behind, Alex Norris is putting some pressure on F1 Shorts, who did look like he had a good start there. Yes, he did. He gained a spot. Let's look at the drivers. F1 Shorts almost ran in the back of the Alpine right there, and the Alpine did lose the rear quite a bit there through the first few corners, and you could see how loose the rear of that Alpine is. So, 3 spots from Drift King, who needed that. He's had poor qualifying this season. 3 spots from Garrison on debut. 3 spots from Valkyrie as well. So, a lot of drivers gaining spots in the opening lap, and definitely some who needed it. 2 from Mythic. Biggest losers, though. Devin, Alex Norris, and it's Z. We've got 3 cars under a blanket heading into the heavy braking zone, and it's Alex Norris who's going to make the shot down the inside and makes contact with the Alpine. He forces him out wide. That causes a little accordion effect there behind. Luckily, no one ran into each other, but we gotta move, and we got a collision. The Alpine tried to go for it, Garrison did, on F1 Shorts at the chicane, but as you know, as we've seen before with Be Good and Jack, and even lap 1 with Mythic and Alex Norris, moves there at the chicane almost end in contact every single time, and it just did not work. We got some movement here into the final braking zone. Valkyrie and Devin are racing it out, 2 Academy teammates. Devin is ahead. Zora is also in the fight as well. And look at this. Although Turbo took the fastest lap and Uri led another lap, Ardell is still keeping his teammate very, very close here at the front of our field. And similar to another racetrack like Austria that saw a DRS train and quite a bit of action at the front, we're seeing Ardell probably put himself in that fight to be able to trade the lead like he did quite a bit in Austria again tonight. Big, big wiggle from Mally41. Tier 1 champion of the past, F2 champion of the past. Looks like the past is definitely different to the future. As you could see, we would not see 2019 Mally41 wiggling on the rear like he just did right there. That was a lot of snaps there he had. Look at Invade going down the inside of Timbed, who makes his debut today and now spins around for the first time today. That was a lot of contact down there at the braking zone. Did Invade force him out? It did look like it a little bit, but We're going to have to find out when we get to the stewards room later if it gets reported. Garrison is our first driver in the penalty club. Look at this for our race lead. Ardell just trailing the teammate a little bit and causing Uri to use a bit of ERS moments ago. Look at this, side by side momentarily for our lead. Uri still keeps it, but Ardell is not going away. He does not care about the championship status one bit, and Invade, who had the collision with the Aston Martin, sets the fastest lap on that same lap, and Garrison is looking to make the move. We've got yellow flags. That is for Leon Miner, maybe? Zora's lost time too. Either way, something's happened there at the final braking zone. Not the final corner, the final braking zone, but we have some pinching here between two drivers. 12th place it is. F1 shorts. Maybe got eaten alive there in turn 1, turn 2 area. I'm not sure. I'll tell you right now, that's a tricky area to go side by side in without losing the rear. And I thought one of them was going to. So things have calmed down a little bit, but we still have racing at the front of the field. Here we go. Goatley having to make a defensive maneuver in front of Invade, who does make the move, but almost ran in the back of Ardell, and Goatley gave Invade a few love taps there into the corner. I think Goatley is just remembering Invade. You kind of got a little too comfortable racing me last week. You turned in on me. I don't want to have anything happen this time, but I want to make sure you know I'm still there. and he did make him aware as he kept giving him a few taps there into the end of the chicane area. Leon Miner becomes our second driver to get into the penalty club so far this race. Lap 4 complete. Invade is one of the biggest movers on the start. He is up 3 places. Drift King got 1 moments ago. He's up 4. Valkyrie's up 4. I think Drift King, I mean, his 4th place he gained was from the contact between Invade and Timbed. And Timbed, welcome to Tier 3 where it gets a little hectic, sir. I know you probably did not want that to happen. Oh, F1 shorts! Look at that! A major snap! He is lucky to still be in this race from that happening. Big moment there. That could have definitely changed the complexion of that midfield battle. And the way this race could have gone if there was a safety car deployed from that. Ardell has more ERS than Uri, but he's also using more on the DRS back straight. Mally 41 gets through an It's Z. You want to talk about one of RPL's longest active drivers versus the newest driver? Here we go. Side by side, Goatley and Invade. Who's going to make it happen as we get down to the braking? We're going to get down to single file, and Goatley will be ahead of the Ferrari driver. So, 2 Italian teams, maybe from the same exact country, but they're not racing like it. 6-car fight at the front of our field. Polish Hammer has joined us. Turbo is still in this fight. And Ardell is not far behind teammate Uri. He's really trying to give teammate Uri some pressure for this race and to make him aware that, like we said, he does not care about the championship status. He made that known before coming into today's race, and here we go. Any movement for 13th? I know Garrison just got the place. Is F1 Short's going to try to reclaim it back? No, he will not. But our race leader had a moment there at turn 1 trying to get on the power, and you see what that does. It puts the driver in a panic. He had to use a bit of battery just to maintain the lead. Had some moves further on back. It's 2 of RPL's icons when it comes to the safety cars, Leon Miner and Zora. There was a movement made between them 2 for 18th place. I'm telling you right now, a first career win is definitely on the cards tonight for Ardell. It's just a matter of him playing it safe and smart. That will lead him to victory. He's got more pace over our Uri. You can see it. Gonna move in behind the teammate. And Turbo, I think he was wanting to maybe make amends with Invade, but it just was not happening. If you are in the DRS training, you try to close in this section. Well, the DRS straight, I should say, because we're not in that section anymore. And you're in a DRS training, the other one has DRS in front of you. You can make it happen, but you better use some battery. I don't think anyone wanted to use battery right there. Here we go. For the first time today, we have a change at the front of the field. RPL Ardell leads the Grand Prix over teammate Uri. He had been putting so much pressure on the teammate and not making any moves, but finally, he'll lead this race, and he does lead a lap with it, so he does get credited. With that being said, Timbed is trying to reclaw his way through the field after that collision with Invade. He's up to 9th now. He was in 10th, riding behind the McLaren. The McLaren is going to try to regain this place. Look at this. Around the outside, Mythic almost pinches the Aston Martin. And that was a car I think Mythic has been familiar with in the past. And there's contact. It causes the Aston to slide, and Alex Norris will go through now. So we got some tight action here for pretty much everywhere. Look at this. Goatley not anywhere near the teammates. He's fighting with Invade and Turbo. This is a move we're going to see, I think. Hold on. We got to move for the lead first. Uri does reclaim it. Does he get ahead in the braking zone? Yes, he does. Further back, Invade is racing with Goatley now. So no one's going to back off this time as we get to the Titan section. Alex Norris. Mythic. 3 abreast. Look at this. Mythic didn't even have enough room to maintain the inside for a moment. And now that he did, he squeezes the V-carb, and the V-carb does clap back at it, but Mythic gets the place and parks the bus. Look at this. Mythic hangs on. Look at Tim Bed now. He's trying to make the move. We have lots of action no matter wherever you look. And look at this. The V-carb trying to get in the middle and go 3 wide. He couldn't do it. Now trying to go to the outside, and Mythic backed off. Mythic is playing mind games here with both drivers. And you know who that invites to DRS action? That invites AMS Devon to DRX action, because they were just screwing around with one another. And because of that, you put more cars in the fight, and that's what happened. I don't know if Mythic was putting it in none and backing up the field from it, or if he was just trying to be the one to have DRS, but I'll tell you right now, besides DRS tactics, it messes with your head, and it looked like it messed with those guys' head. Invade, look at this. Look at this. Ardell squeezing him. Ardell going for the lead too. Invade gonna go for it even more. Look at this. Uri is forced to break the latest. Ardell cut off Invade right there, and further behind, Goatley and Turbo were close. So were the McLaren and the Ferrari. This is a 6-car fight at the front of our field, which is not dying down, and the man who tried to get the race lead right there has now got a penalty to his name. Ardell is the 3rd driver in the penalty box. As things stand, Uri would be extending his championship lead, and the championship contender, Turbo, is only just hanging on to 5th. But he knows it's a long race. He knows a lot can happen. He is still in this fight. He is still in this DRS train, but he's got to stay in it. Mythic and Timbred, it looked like they had, Timbed, excuse me, they had a bit of contact there down at the last braking zone. I think Valkyrie and Garrison may have had some too. They were racing it out for 13th place. Look at this ding-dong battle here between Mythic and Alex Norris for the last point spot. Mythic has it. Alex Norris wants it. Oh, we have a collision. Valkyrie and Garrison came together down at turn 1, and F1 Shorts had to take evasive action. He actually ran in the back of the car that collided with his teammate. Are we going to see a change at stake for the lead once again? Yes, we are. RS1 Invade takes it. The man who has two tier 3 wins, excuse me, and has not won this season. Ferrari, they haven't even won this season. They're looking to do so with the lead of this race. Change out in front, a change in 11th. Now 10th. AMS Devon is pinching the McLaren. These two are very tight, and now Mythic gets the place. Oh, look at this. Alex Norris is there. You just want to look at this everywhere. Look at this. A switchback. Is it going to work for our lead? RSF1 Invade has been overtaken, but Uri went too deep. We're going to be side by side to see a lead slap, and it is RSF1 Invade. Ardell pits. And Polish Hammer, no. He's lagged out. Oh, no. That's concerning. Polish Hammer was racing at the front of our field for a very high place, and he's going to need it in my back. Oh no, he was in the train and he had a chance to help teammate invade. I don't think that'll happen anymore, but wow. I think Egg had to leave the session for him to be able to join, and he did. Wow. We've got yellow flags. That's Mally 41. And he's one of the drivers low on fuel. Same with Leon. They really expected a lot of safety cars to happen in this event. 9th place up for grabs due to whatever happened to Ardell because he pitted. Oh, look at this. Look at this. Contact. Collision. Both of them are on the wall. Devin and Mythic have came together, and now Uri leads this race once again. He retook the lead from Invade there on the DRS straight, and Invade boxes. And he speeds. Oh no. So, Ardell pitted. He has the track limit penalty. Polish lagged out. He has yet to take control, it looks like. And look at that. As soon as he took control, he retired. Oh my word. Polish Hammer has had a bad run of races when he's been here in Tier 3 since the podium happened at round 1. And it's happening again, where he's having the bad run of races continue. And he's joined back. He's not going to see anything he likes when he gets to find out his car is retired. He's going to come with a big surprise. Mythic is in. And I was just saying, drivers at the front of our field who are in top cars are not having a fun time. Invade got the 10-second. Ardell has the 3-second. I know he's got the gap now, but I mean, what does it matter now that you have a 3-second? What does it matter? It's going to change things. I mean, Minico explains it very well for me. There's the weekly Ardell 3-second. Goatley is only trailing his teammate by 2/10. We did have a driver further back pick up a penalty. I think that was Mythic. Was it? It might have been. Well, Mythic has already pitted, and Uri is in. Did he keep it within the white lines, though? Ooh. Turbo, the other championship contender, is in. Let's find out with these two who makes the most of their pit stop. Uri goes for hards. Turbo goes for hards. They started on the medium compound tires. Valkyrie, who collided with Garrison moments ago, has now traded place with the Alpine. But Garrison, another driver who may have not kept it within the white lines. And as we come out of the pit lane here, Ardell will have the net lead, but he does not have the 3-second buffer he needs to win this race. He's going to have to pull fast laps and really get on with it if he wants to have a chance for victory tonight. Invade is reeling the Red Bull in. He's got a lot of pace too in the Ferrari. I mean, if he just didn't have the 10-second, we would consider Invade for a victory tonight. And we've got a crash. Mally 41 is the center of attention once again, but not for the right reason. And meanwhile, Ardell has swapped places with Invade. Now, it's not a 1.5 gap over his teammate. It's only a 1.1 gap. Wow. We've got lots of stuff happening. And Leon Miner is racing it out with It's Z. And Leon Miner is up a place. So, Garrison also gets Mally 41. Look at this 3-car ding-dong battle. Down into the heavy braking zone. F1 Shorts is going to brake latest, but does not have enough room to get ahead of Mally 41. He has to concede the place, and he does. And now he's giving a few punts to the back of the Williams driver. Our front two are in. That is Goatley. That is Neski. Alex Norris inherits the lead of this race. He has yet to pit in the V-Carb, but he's got 2 hungry drivers behind him. Invade is one of them. Ardell is another. Neski is exiting the pit lane here very soon. Goatley has exited the pit lane, and he's ahead of AMS Devon, but behind Turbo, and not in any sort of DRS whatsoever. So, a lot of these drivers who were in the DRS train have kind of broke away from that. Now they're going to have to really fight for getting back in one. because that will definitely help their chances. Speaking of chances, RS01 Invade, his chances to win this race would have been very good if he didn't have the 10-second. But now it might be up to Ardell, who does get the place as Alex Norris does the kind thing and pulls over for his Academy teammate. He has yet to pit. There's no point in fighting this with either Invade or Academy teammate Ardell. Speaking of fighting, we got some fighting down the DRS straight. Leon Miner is racing it out with his teammate Timbed, and Timbed does get the place over Leon, who has to concede it. 3 Merc cars in this fight. Garrison is racing it out with Academy teammate and bangs wheels with him. Mythic's got damage to his end plate, and that's not good to see, but it's also not good to see drivers from the same academy banging wheels. That's not what we like to see. Neski has been overtaken by Timbed. I would have to say, besides the collision with Invade, which is out of Timbed's control, it's been a nice debut from the Aston Martin driver. And got a 4-car fight on our hands further back. Alley 41. It's the only one in this train yet to pit. Looks like Ardell is closing in on a race leader. Uriah is also closing in for 3rd place. We've got lots of action on track, and folks, don't worry, for those of you who are in game chat, I will get back to a party. It's just the stupid glitch we have whenever the commentator is by himself. It lags him out, and Uriah didn't make anything good of that corner when he went for the move. The only thing good he made from it is that he got clear of the V-carb driver he was battling, but he probably picked up a track limit warning for how deep he went into the corner. I wouldn't doubt it. Can Invade keep 2nd place man Ardell at bay? The answer is no. Ardell reclaims the lead, and if he can pull a big enough gap, he can beat his teammate. He can pull out. Wow. Drift King has overtaken Valkyrie for 8th place. And Valkyrie is one of our drivers as well yet to pit. Got Devin, Alex Norris, Valkyrie, Leon Miner, Mally 41. Those are our drivers in this race yet to pit. We'll keep an eye out for them on when they do pit, but we're keeping this VSC safety car free. That's great to see, but the only thing that would have brought out a safety car is Polish Hammer retiring. That happened when he rejoined the session. That stupid glitch is still in the game. EA, fix your stuff, because a home driver who had a chance at getting a podium tonight is not going to do it. His teammate is the one kind of put in position here, kind of put in a position to do it on his own. He overtakes for the race lead, but he has the 10-second to spare. And, ooh, lots of contact between Turbo and Alex Norris. Alex Norris power slides as he does have the inside line, but that power slide didn't mean anything as he had the inside preferred line to take the place over championship contender Turbo. And look what he did! He backed him up there as they came out of the braking zone. Big slide, and this is costing him time compared to his championship contender, his rival, Uri. Look at this. A trade in places between the lead and the guys in 4th and 5th, but the time deficit is what's costing them, and big contact! Invade has lost the rear from it. Ardell takes over the top spot, but there was lots of touching there as they got to turn 1. 3 seconds separate Turbo and Uri. Just moments ago, that gap was what? 1.7? This is not good. Alex Norris gave a big assist to his teammate right there. Garrison, down in the braking zone, has been passed by L Mythic, his teammate. They made contact earlier on, but, I mean, just from the brief part I saw, I'm going to assume this time was a lot better from the pair of them. They do have Ferrari Academy teammate F1 Shorts in this fight. And we've got a trade at the front of our field once again. Alex Norris is Ardell's teammate. Ardell and Invade trade spots for our race lead. And Ardell's just really going to have to hope for Uri to get into the penalty box in order for him to have a chance to win this race, because now trading spots with Invade as constantly as he has, it will cost him time to Uri. Garrison ducks out and goes the long way around on teammate El Mythic. Let's see, do they keep it clean here? A little bit of touching, but hey, Robin's racing, right? Not really when it's your academy teammate, because there, you could have argued there may have been an extra inch that could have been given. And look at this. Two teammates trade places. Uri is ahead of Ardell and takes over second place on track. Alex Norris finally pits. And Mally 41, someone who is yet to pit, has picked up his first track limit penalty to the race. Now, give us a fight into the last braking zone, why don't you, Alpine Academy? Garrison had the place, but now Mythic is the one who has it. And I think the only reason you can sit here and say we have a McLaren fighting so far down the field is because he has damage in the left end plate. And I really don't think that's helping the McLaren driver here whatsoever. Nonetheless, Garrison is, you know, finding his footing in RPL by fighting it out here. He's got F1 Shorts, a Ferrari Academy driver. He's got Mythic, an Academy teammate who's making a move on. And although, you know, you look at the situation with Mythic having damage, both having penalties, that's a great lunge from the Alpine driver making his debut. Really good move. Now we got moves on the back straight being pulled off. F1 Shorts has the help of his rear wing. Mythic is going to go for the dive and did have the help of his rear wing to make the move, and he sends it and goes right into the path of F1 Shorts. And he's still hitting the back of the Haas. No leeway given right there. Second place is still a fight here between both Red Bulls, but now, I mean, Invade, you can just kiss your top 5 chances goodbye because he got a first track limit penalty and another penalty to his name. It's almost to the point where Drift King, who's in 6th place, 14 seconds behind our race lead, could overtake Invade due to the amount of penalties we see on our screen. Mythic, F1 Shorts, a little squeeze there into the last braking zone, puts F1 Shorts out wide, and I'm sure he'll want to reclaim this place. Will he go the long way? Will he go for a inside shot dive? He can, actually, with the Alpine Academy driver there. And there's contact. More contact. Shoving his way through there as the Alpine Academy driver, but, I mean, Robin's racing, right? It's all fun and games, and Uri is still fighting this with Ardell. Is Ardell going to be put back here in a spot vulnerable to Turbo on track and lose second place? I don't know. Regardless, these two Red Bull boys are not giving it to each other easy. That's for sure. Mythic has now 3 cars behind him, hungry for a place. Mythic dived it in there, went deep, kept the place, but further back, Garrison has Valkyrie, F1 Shorts, both Haas teammates, all there for company. Yeah, well, if you don't know, Polish Hammer will be joining me tomorrow for Tier 2. I will be glad to see you there, Polish, but it is unfortunate that you did not get to finish this race tonight. Your home race, in fact, too. That sucks. Mythic, Garrison, another lap, another DRS straight where they swap places. And Mythic slams the wall right there. Is that damage on both end plates now? There's none visible on that right side, but I wouldn't doubt he picked up some damage as he just slapped the barrier. And now look at this. He's just shoving his way through there to keep the place with Valkyrie F1. No love lost between those two. They've fought it out before in Tier 2. And speaking of fight it out, both Red Bulls are doing it once again. They cannot keep themselves away from fighting this out. And we have another driver who picked up a penalty. That was Mally 41, who sped in the pit lane. He does make his first trip to the pits, but that's not without any trouble for Mally 41. Devin is getting his first taste of Leon Minor lore, and, well, that's a trade for the last point spot. Look at this, a move for second place, a move for 13th. Garrison holds on from Mythic. Mythic keeps the place with Valkyrie, but Valkyrie wanted to shoot one up the outside, and she couldn't. Uri and Ardell are just fighting this out so aggressively, and I gotta tell you right now, besides for the sake of ego, I don't understand this. Uri had a big tank slapper there coming out of turn 2 when he tried to get on the power, and they're costing each other so much time. It might get to the point where Goatley is able to overtake Ardell by the end of this race based on track limit penalties. He's not far from doing so, and Uri and Ardell are fighting this out like it's the last lap of the 2021 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. I don't know why, besides the sake of an ego boost. I really want to know why. You know, Ardell will tell me after the race anyway, I'm sure, but I really have to understand this right now, because the gap to Turbo is 1.3. He's not far from his championship contender, his title rival, and you know what? Put him in DRS right now, because he's just right from it. I think he just missed out on the detection point, but Ardell is not, just like the start of this race, Ardell's not going away, but the difference is Ardell has a penalty. I get Ardell is trying to pull a gap for the sake of not being overtaken from the 3-second, but you have your faster teammate in front of you. What's the purpose of this? That's what I've got to wonder. I definitely would like to have the answers, because as a commentator, we're going to question it, but it may not be right from our standpoint. Neski got overtaken by Alex Norris for 8th. That's a nice little battle that was brewing, and needed to see an overtake in order to really boost V-Carb in the championship. But nonetheless, Mythic did get the better end of Valkyrie, and Valkyrie will try to get the upper edge on him as we get to the heavy braking zone. Do we see a shot late on the brakes? No, we don't. Mythic covers it. I could tell you right now, no matter what race it is, whether it was Spa this season, whether it was Australia, whether it was last week, Mythic is always in a battle in RPL. Wherever you see him in that McLaren, look for him to be fighting it out. And he is fighting it out. Look at this. Dive bomb. Big shot. He keeps the place over Valkyrie F1. I don't know how these two don't end in a collision. He just dives it, Magnussen style. Kind of like the sprint in Miami, and keeps the place over Valkyrie. I mean, this is what none of your rust will do to you. It backs you up. And Valkyrie gives one herself at Mythic with the contact. Oh boy. F1 Shorts. He might see an opportunity right here brewing. Mythic is now in a Haas sandwich, but it will not last for long. The team next year on the next F1 game will go to Toyota engines. We'll keep an eye out for that and how that does change things for the F1 game and for RPL's sakes. But nonetheless, we're getting into the final third of this race, and Mythic is not done fighting it out. Look at this. Sticks it in non-ERS, backs them up, and puts them in a spot to where they just can't overtake. I don't know if he's just backing them up due to having no ERS, or is just backing them up to play mind games and put them in such a vulnerable spot. But you know what? We've got a lot of entertainment from it. We're riding on board with F1 Shorts and watching from his point of view, where the Haas tries to go down the outside and cannot do it on the McLaren, and Mythic covers it off again. I mean, he's got no ERS, but uses it all in the straight, and Valkyrie just gives the McLaren quite a bit of a tap. Second place, again, trade spots. Ardell is in front of the teammate, but as we always ask, when we're in this situation, at what cost? Alex Norris is trying to charge his way through the field. He's up to 7th. Nice little race from him on the medium tires, the revert strategy. Tim Bed in his debut, down to 8th. He's having a quiet race. He qualified really well, but has not raced as well due to the contact he had with Invade, which does beg the question, will it see the stewards room? Mythic is really getting egregious here. Uri went too deep as he gets aggressive with the teammate. Ardell repasses him, but like we said, at what cost? Mythic has got F1 Shorts here he's racing it out with, and is now nowhere near Valkyrie. I think Mythic has just really shot his chances of getting back in DRS of the Brazilian female driver. And that's because of the ERS situation Mythic put himself in. He tries to save it to get it back and overtake and fight this, but when he gets back in none to save it, he's not anywhere near fighting range with the next driver. Side-by-side action here for 7th place. Ardell picks up another penalty. That's very crucial. He'll be losing a spot for 5th now. Lot of contact, lot of wheel banging. Alex Norris is ahead, but he's getting his elbows out here with the Aston. You know who's really got their elbows out today? RPL Ardell. Minico, you're a fellow Canadian. I want to hear your thoughts in the chat on Ardell's penalty situation. Garrison, little cut back. He pulls off on Leon Minor to get the place, and he saw Leon's dive coming, and he said, you know what? Fine, take it. I'll get the DRS, and now we'll have a race here down to the braking zone with me being the one having the momentum, me being the one being able to pull off the overtake, even though I have no ERS to spare. Look at Leon on the button. He's putting on the overtake. And a dive is made. He pulled a dive. He pulled a dummy on Leon Minor, and he's got the place for 11th. What a move. You know, these drivers on debut, Garrison, although he picked up a penalty, I was just going to credit him. Garrison, Timbed, they're really showing us some nice moves on their first races here in RPL F1. And the two who are teammates for next season, the two have collided in the past, Valkyrie and Leon, they're now going to race it out here for 12th place, regardless of the penalty situation. And Timbed is another one racing it out here with Alex Norris. More contact, the second time in a row in the first sector, and now Valkyrie is another driver to put herself in the penalty club. I mean, everywhere you go outside the points, we've got a driver having a penalty besides the driver on debut. It's Z. Valkyrie slides, Leon Minor slides, and regardless, Leon is keeping the place. Now, he's turning on the battery. He realizes besides that battery, he's got nothing to fight with here with Valkyrie. He's got nothing he has the upper edge on. Look at this, down the inside. He went for the she went for the shot on Leon Minor and pulled it off. And now, look at this. Leon Minor is going to use all that energy, all that battery, deploy it, and go for the move again. He's gonna have a go around the outside of Valkyrie. And Garrison has just ran away with this. He's just saying, I'm gone. I'm saying goodbye. And that's the second time in a row Leon Minor's corner has been compromised, and it's allowed Valkyrie to try and pull the move, except compared to Garrison, the move could not be pulled off. Leon Minor does look like he's struggling. 2 seconds he's lost to Garrison. Garrison has pulled away. Devin, in 10th place, our last point spot, has picked up a penalty. And don't look now, but Turbo and Goatley, they're there to fight with this. And if they can pass Ardell, they're very close to fighting for the race victory. Remember, Invade has 13 seconds of pens, but does not have a chance of winning this race due to those penalties. Valkyrie just got shoved out wide by Leon. The door was shut, and there's no chance of Valkyrie coming back at this anytime soon. I mean, maybe with how much Leon is struggling, maybe she can do this, but I don't know. When Polish retired, he said, absolutely stinky human garbage. This game is so garbage. He is not happy. Oh, Goatley picks up a penalty, and that's very costly. You know what, though? He'll still have the podium place, but he will not be able to fight for this victory due to that penalty. Regardless, he'll go for the move. He'll help his teammate, and it'll also help his chances of maybe getting a place if any of these other ones get a penalty. Turbo almost ran in the back of Goatley, and that allowed Goatley to make the move, but Turbo's in the wall, and he reset the track. That will be very big for our championship contender. While that happened, Valkyrie had a major shunt on the back straight. Whatever happened, Leon Minor was able to pull away from Valkyrie. I think that's where the collision happened. Mythic is fighting with F1 Shorts. Leon Minor is fighting here. I'm sure F1 Shorts is probably digging his head into the wall right now that he's got in his room or right near his rig or near his controller. He's probably just wanting to shove it in there by the end of this race because he's fought with Mythic for a while, and now you have to fight with one of the most aggressive drivers in RPL history, Leon Minor. I mean, he realizes his situation for fuel. He might not make it to the end of this race, Leon. And the same could be said for Mally 41. Leon Minor pulls off and lets Mythic go through and now maybe take this fight for 11th place. That will be a very interesting, and Leon pulls off and gives it to F1 Shorts. I really wonder, how much did Leon Miner underfuel by? Is he at risk of running out of fuel right now? Collision or incident. Garrison has crashed out while running in 11th. He is on the side of the road, and only a VSC is deployed for this. No safety car. Valkyrie just pitted to change her front wing for that shunt on the D-Rush straight. But nonetheless, this gives the guys in 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and even 5th a chance to recharge and fight more. I really do wonder. I mean, we won't have any safety cars deployed now with how late we are in the race. We're lucky we only got a VSC for that incident. We could have had a late race safety car, but it would have only been a 2 to go restart. We could have really seen Goatley, Ardell, and Invade get majorly affected by their penalty situation. But I just want to mention, Turbo not only got in a collision with Goatley, which could see the stewards room and impact Goatley's chance for beating Ardell, but it also could impact Turbo's chance for beating not only Ardell, but maybe Invade. That reset to track is against RPL rules. And, you know, there's a lot of times in this fight where Turbo has been down, Uriah has been down, a lot has happened, and we could be saying to ourselves, that could have been the moment that cost Turbo the championship. Resetting the track right there. He'll get maybe a place on Goatley, he'll get a place on Ardell, and he'll get a place on Invade. But when we get to the stewards room later on tonight, does he keep it? He won't keep it now. He's got a drive-through penalty for speeding under the VSC. And you know who joins him? Zora does too. Zora, because of how many laps down he was, the game gave him a drive-through penalty, but the game gave Turbo a 20-second and says, no, you don't have to serve this. We're just going to give you a slam dunk 20-second because of how late it is in the Grand Prix. F1 Shorts got mythic, and now here comes the cloud cover. We should be getting any rain any second if this was under normal circumstances. But I don't think we will. If we do, it's the last lap. And look at this. F1 Shorts. He's struggling big time. He locked the rears right there, right in front of Mythic. Lost it. Now he's in front of Leon. Leon picks up a penalty. And Ardell might be fighting this more with Uriah for his personal pride. And Neski. Neski's into the wall. Neski was running in a really good spot, battling with Timbet, and now he's going to have to go to the pits. He missed the pit lane when that happened, and he'll surely lose the points place. Now, F1 Shorts and Leon, big dive right there. Leon covers it off and goes to the pit lane. Leon hadn't pitted so far in this race. Went 26 laps, now 27 on those hards, and has to avoid being disqualified, but speeds in the pit lane for good measure. And he puts on inners to end this race. All right. Leon Miner. Never change, please. Never change. I'll tell you right now, this track got dark very quickly. We could see the rainfall happen on the last lap, and here it is. The rain is happening now. So one last lap, we'll have rain come down on the track. Maybe that's why Leon went to inners. He thought it was going to get wet enough and figured, screw it, why not? It's one more lap. I don't need it. One more lap to go here in Miami at the Hard Rock Stadium. For RSF1 Invade, it's going to feel like a touchdown that was taken away for him. Because really, 13 seconds of pens, you're never going to win a race by that happening to you. And we got more trouble. That is Devin, maybe, or the lap car of Zora. I don't know what's happened, but this has been a wacky race for some of the drivers further back. Nonetheless, Invade, you know, he mentioned he's going to quit full-time racing. He's going to take a break. You know what? It would have been a great way to go out winning today, but he'll at least get the honor of winning on track. And I don't know if he'll appeal the 10-second. I don't know if he will. If he does, he will get the victory. If he doesn't, he will finish in the top 5. And that'll be a good result considering what happened last week in Monza. But you know who will go in favor for? Uriah. And he made a big mishap there at the end of the chicane. It's backed Ardell up. Ardell still wants to fight him for the personal pride. And they're on dry tires fighting this. Ardell takes it. And Vade will win on track. Congrats to him, but it won't last. Ardell will finish second. He may get the podium, but the victory is going to ERT Uri once again in RPL Tier 2. Looks like it won't be taken away this time. It's going in his favor for the sake of the championship. ERT Uri wins in Miami, and he will extend the championship lead big time due to Turbo's troubles. Goatley gets another Tier 3 podium, and he is up there in his home race. How about that? He is second place. He ties his best result. Leon's out of fuel. And nonetheless, Turbo's going to continue to drop here. Look at this. Look at this. DRS disabled on the last lap of racing. Ardell is third. That's his third podium in Tier 3. And Vade is fourth with all those penalties. Drift King came back for fifth. Good effort there. Alex Norris, points. Good from him on the revert strategy. Devin as well. Points for Kick Sauber. Tim Bet on debut is seventh. Mythic is going to be our last point scorer, but his teammate Turbo only got eighth. And it could still be more points to lose when he gets the reset to track submitted on him. I'll tell you right now, I mean, I have no bias as commentator, but as our last cars come across the line to finish, I always will tell you right now, as of recent weeks, I have been requested to submit any retiring in the pits, retiring on track, or retiring in the, or resetting the track from the owners and co-owners of RPL. So, oh, well, nice one. 10-second unserved from Mally. And Leon will come to the line without any fuel. On fumes, pretty much, to be the last one across the line. Zora, by the way, he retired due to leaving early. That may get reinstated, but now since the whole Rapid Owen situation last season, I doubt it. Garrison, one of our DNFs. Polish, one of our DNFs. Garrison's was on track. The game glitch was Polish and Zora. But that is it for our Miami Grand Prix. Got a home driver on the podium. And you know what? I'm going to look at who we're going to give driver of the day to. But Invade says he will be appealing his 10-second. Could we see Invade in his final full-time season for right now get that victory back that he got on track? Regardless of if he takes it over Uri, it's still at least a 14-point swing in his favor. And that's big heading into Brazil and Japan to finish out the season. Japan, a track that probably should suit Uri. And look at this. Invade, if you do not get that 10-second removed, it's an entire Red Bull Academy celebration. Spray the champagne, boys. All of you are on the podium. How about that? That's quite neat to see. So, we've got our final results. I don't see it on my screen, but I'm going to go to the driver screens. I don't see it. Nice one. Migrating host. That's what happens. Well, we know our final results from seeing it on screen just moments ago. I'm going to give driver of the day. Uri, I want to give it to you for not having any penalties to, you know, keep it clean for the sake of the championship. I mean, you were the only driver inside that top 6 to finish the race without any penalties. And I'd say top 6 just because I'm going to include Polish in that fight for the front of the field earlier on. He put himself in that fight, put himself in the equation, and he had penalties to his name. And Uri was the only one who were the drivers who were fighting for the win that did not have any penalties. I would give driver of the day to you, Uri. I'm going to give you a driver of the day contender spot, but I'm going to give it to, honestly, Goatley. Home race here in Miami. 4th place in F2. It should not be a surprise with the way he's been performing recently in Tier 2 and Tier 3. But if it were not for the penalty, he may have been right behind his teammate for the race victory. And it's not a situation like Zandvoort when he got the podium after Academy teammate Uri, who won the race, did a 2-stop. It's not like Singapore where the 2 leaders pitted. He kept himself in this fight and got a podium, I would say, on pure merit rather than any sort of luck being handed to him. So, and I'm not trying to call his podiums lucky. You will always have luck happen in racing. I say it to people who complain all the time, saying, oh, this driver got lucky or I got unlucky. It happens. It's part of the game. But the fact of the matter is, Goatley stayed there, well, was there, stayed there, and home race. I'll give it to him. I'll give it to him. F1 Short says he would give Mythic Driver of the Day. He had damage. I would not give Mythic Driver of the Day. But I'll tell you, if there's any award for the best effort, which, you know, we're not giving participation trophies here, but I say the best effort because he fought with everybody today. I would give it to him for that part. Zora says, I hate this track and the Alpine. F1 Short says, so close to the points in the end. At least it was a fun race. He enjoyed the battle with Mythic. And could have been better if I wasn't punted into the wall, but what are you going to do? I don't know who it was that said that. I don't know who it was that said that. So my 3 Driver of the Day contenders. Uri, I'd give the P3 spot to. Goatley, I'd give Driver of the Day to. And I'm going to say the second place Driver of the Day spot coming up short, I'd probably give it to either Devin or the Aston who made his debut. Probably Devin, just because a kick Sauber scoring points does not happen often. I would know this from personal experience. But nonetheless, a great Grand Prix in Miami. And, you know, we speak about the Miami Miracle of football play that has its own nickname in the NFL, but one that Invade is going to need in order to get the victory with the 10-second he plans to appeal. And resetting the track in RPL is either a 5 or a 10. I know Turbo is not going to get away with resetting the track right there. No doubt about it. We saw it live on our screens. The driver behind him was only 4.6 back. He will probably be losing a place with that being said. And who knows? Maybe after all, with the collision Goatley got in, he could be getting a pen Goatley could himself and maybe lose the P2 to Ardell and make it a Red Bull 1-2. I don't know what will happen. We'll find out later on in the week whenever we get the stewards report. But yeah, we had some great fights. Mythic in the midfield. Leon Miner put on some great action. Valkyrie put on some great action. Leon thinks action with Valkyrie in a different way, which I'm not going to say out loud. You can have a guess yourself at what that is. Ardell fought with Uri quite a bit. I'm going to guess for personal pride. But, you know, Invade fought for the lead and actually won the race on track, which we did not talk about too much, besides the fact of the 10-second, but good performance there. One we've not seen from Invade in a while, and I do wonder if he gets that appealed. Is that the last time we're going to see him on the podium this season before he takes a break? You know, we'll still see him around quite a bit as a TP for Ferrari, but we won't see him on track. It's Z46 was the one who said he got put in the wall. All right, well, welcome to RPL, I guess. Maybe not the way you would have wanted it to happen, but it was good to see you have some fights in your debut at least, and an unfortunate debut. But hey, we have Brazil next week, and these guys can take a look at the Tier 1 race we had recently there and maybe take some notes and figure out what they might need to do from what the Tier 1 guys did in order to replicate anything they did there in their race to show us some more brilliance. Energize says, tried my best. Could have been the points, but I sold. Yeah, I mean, a lot of self-spins. A lot of drivers had trouble getting on the power. A lot of drivers had trouble on traction. Not a surprise around the circuit. It's a tough one. And again, you know, this is a circuit that I want to say in some aspect has been affected by Hurricane Helene and Hurricane Milton. So for those people who have been affected, which I've said it on every stream, I think I hope Titan does say it on the Tier 1 and F2 stream when I'm not here on Saturday, because there's a lot of people still recovering, whether they got affected big time or just a little bit from the hurricanes. So I do have my best wishes for those affected by that. Zora does not get the fun fact, F1 Short said. You're right. That is correct. Zora does not get the fun fact. So I want to make something clear, and we're probably putting this on out of context so people can laugh at it, I guess. Whatever. People laugh at me all the time. It's okay. It'll be my last bit to end the stream, so people can have something to laugh at or look at, I guess, or enjoy. Whatever. I made a bet before this race with 2 drivers, or 2 situations. My bet with Zora was if he beats his teammate, doesn't crash, doesn't cause a safety car, which, I mean, he does a lot. I'm not trying to rip into him. I'm going to shut up before I get in trouble on that. But Zora will laugh at me. He won't care. He jokes about it, too. I made a bet that if he did those things without, you know, causing issues and finished the race and finished ahead of his teammate, I would give him a fun fact. But he didn't do that. He technically didn't finish the race. And he didn't, you know, so... All right. I don't know. I'm not giving him the fun fact. I'm not going to give the glory there. But if Invade gets the 10-second removed, I did make a joke with Ferrari Academy. It's the only academy I've raced in Tier 3. I made a joke with them saying, if Ferrari win, I'd give them my phone number. And if that 10-second Invade got in the pit lane is fraudulent, I guess you could say, and he gets that removed, Ferrari Academy, there you go. You'll get it. If the stewards feel like overturning it and Invade was wrongfully given the 10-second speeding penalty. I don't know. There's been the glitch in the pit lane for a while. I'm sure it's probably on this game. Thanks, EA. So, yeah. All right. Well, let's give you a rundown of the top 10 scorer, well, points runner, points scorers, whatever, from the Grand Prix. You had Uri win, Goatley second, then Ardell, Invade. After that, Drift King. Few Merc Academy cars joined him. After that, Turbo was in the mix. Devin was in the mix. Sauber got points. Sauber got their best point spot of the season, I believe. And the championship standings now changed drastically. Red Bull pull out a bigger lead. Uri pulls out a bigger lead. And, hey, we'll find out what happens when the steward report gets released later on in the week, folks. Make sure you check out that and keep your eye out for what happens. Speaking of later in the week, we have a few more races to continue things. And as Polish Hammer says in the Twitch chat, tomorrow is a new day. Well, you know what? Tomorrow is also not guaranteed. So, yeah. With that being said, we have some races to finish out the weekend here in RPL Formula 1. Check out our YouTube, our Twitch, which we stream on if you're watching from the YouTube, our Instagram, and our Twitter. So the races to continue out the weekend follows with Tier 2 tomorrow in Imola. I'll be there with Polish Hammer on comms. F2 will have racing returning in Baku. The streets there. Feels like we're racing around the streets of everywhere. Miami, Baku, and Vegas for F1 to finish out the weekend. That is where our action continues. We will not have me in the Tier 1 comms box this weekend. Maybe not the F2. We'll see. We'll tell you about that when we know for sure. Nonetheless, Tier 3 finishes out the season in Brazil and Japan. Brazil first next week and Japan the week after for our championship fight, which seems to be on. We have 2 Tier 3 races left to answer the final question in chat before we end the night. 2 Tier 3 races remaining, Brazil and Japan. Make sure you tune in for those, and make sure you tune in for the remainder of the races to finish out the weekend. Tier 2 in Imola tomorrow and Saturday, which is F2 in Baku and F1 in Vegas. We will see you next time. Have a good night, folks. Ryan Searles signing off. Oh, and by the way, I did see that message in chat. No Diddy parties. No Diddy parties. Even if Invade gets that 10-second overturned, I don't want to hear of any Diddy parties. I don't want to hear about it. Don't want to have that happen for those you celebrating. All right, good night, folks.